The cowboy who saved the bride the storm couldn't break. The rain came down like the sky was trying to wash the entire frontier away. Thunder rolled across the plains, and lightning split the dark clouds above the lonely dirt road leading into Red Creek Valley. No traveler in their right mind would have been out that night. Except one. Nathan Carter, a quiet cowboy known for keeping to himself, guided his chestnut horse through the storm after finishing a cattle delivery. His weathered hat dripped with rain, and his coat was soaked through. He was only thinking about reaching his small ranch before midnight. Then he saw her. A young woman stood barefoot in the mud, clutching a worn leather suitcase. Her pale dress was torn, soaked, and stained with dirt. Long strands of dark hair clung to her face as she shivered beneath the freezing rain. Despite the storm, she refused to move from the road. Nathan slowed his horse. "Miss," he called gently, "you'll freeze out here." She looked up, fear filling her gray eyes. I have nowhere else to go." Nathan climbed down from his horse without hesitation. "My name's Nathan Carter. What's yours?" She hesitated before answering. "Emily Dawson." Nathan noticed the suitcase and the bundle of letters tied with faded blue ribbon. "Where are you headed?" Emily lowered her eyes. "I came here to marry a man." Nathan waited quietly. "He was supposed to meet me at the train station 3 days ago." Silence followed. "He never came." Nathan understood immediately. A mail-order bride. Thousands of miles from home. Alone. With no family. No money. No future. "You can stay at my ranch tonight," Nathan said. Emily looked uncertain. "I don't even know you." Nathan smiled softly. "I reckon that's true. But I'd rather earn your trust than leave you here to die." After a long pause, she nodded. Nathan's ranch was small but warm. A fire crackled inside the stone fireplace while rain battered the windows. Emily sat near the fire wrapped in one of Nathan's blankets. He cooked beef stew and homemade bread. She hadn't eaten properly in 2 days. Between quiet bites, she finally spoke. "My parents passed away last winter." Nathan listened. "Our farm was taken by the bank." She stared into the flames. "The only chance I had was answering a newspaper advertisement from a rancher in Wyoming looking for a wife." Nathan nodded. "I wrote letters for almost a year." She swallowed hard. "When I arrived," her voice broke. "His neighbors told me he had married another woman 2 months earlier." Nathan closed his eyes. Someone had simply forgotten to tell her. She had crossed an entire continent chasing a promise that no longer existed. Over the following weeks, Emily stayed to help around the ranch while deciding what to do next. She cleaned the farmhouse, cooked meals, fed the chickens, planted vegetables beside the barn. Nathan repaired fences and cared for the cattle. They rarely spoke much. Neither had ever been good with words. But kindness has its own language. Every morning Nathan left fresh coffee waiting on the table. Every evening Emily left warm dinner waiting for him. Slowly, the lonely ranch no longer felt lonely. Summer painted the valley green. Wildflowers covered the hills. Nathan found himself smiling more than he had in years. Emily laughed again. Sometimes they rode horses together across the open prairie. Sometimes they watched sunsets from the porch without saying a single word. Nathan realized something frightened him more than storms. Losing her. One evening they stopped beside a quiet river. The sunset reflected across the water like melted gold. Emily looked toward the mountains. "I never imagined I'd feel at home again." Nathan looked at her. "I'm glad you stayed." She smiled. "So am I." For the first time, their hands touched. Neither pulled away. Weeks later, trouble arrived. 3 riders appeared at the ranch. The man leading them wore an expensive black coat. His name was Richard Collins. Emily turned pale. Nathan noticed immediately. "You know him." She nodded slowly. "He was the man I was supposed to marry." Richard dismounted with a confident smile. I've come to take my bride. Nathan stepped forward. You left her. Richard shrugged. I made a mistake. Emily stared at him. You married someone else. It didn't work out. His eyes shifted toward Nathan's ranch. I hear you've done well here. Nathan understood. Richard hadn't come back for love. He had come back because Emily now represented comfort, security, and opportunity. Emily stood silently. Richard extended his hand. Come with me. She looked at Nathan. Nathan forced himself to stay calm. If that's what you want. Emily waited several long seconds. Then she stepped backward, toward Nathan. I crossed America believing your promises. Richard's smile faded. You abandoned me. You never even sent a letter. She took Nathan's hand. But this man never promised me anything. She smiled through tears. He simply kept showing up every day. Richard realized he had already lost. Without another word, he climbed onto his horse and rode away. This time forever. Autumn arrived with golden leaves dancing across the valley. Life became peaceful again. Nathan finally gathered enough courage to speak. He led Emily to the old oak tree overlooking the ranch. The same place where sunsets always seemed brighter. I've never been much for speeches, he admitted. Emily laughed softly. I noticed. Nathan pulled a tiny silver ring from his pocket. It isn't expensive. She smiled. I don't care. I can't promise riches. I don't need riches. I can't promise life will always be easy. I know. But I promise I'll never stop choosing you. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Nathan continued. You came here searching for a husband. I found something far better. What? A best friend. My home. My future. Emily wrapped her arms around him before he could finish. Yes. The wind carried the whisper across the prairie. Yes, Nathan. They married that winter in the small wooden church outside Red Creek. The entire town attended. Neighbors decorated the church with pine branches and lanterns. Children scattered flower petals across the snowy path. Even the elderly preacher admitted he'd never seen two people smile quite so brightly. Nathan looked at Emily as she walked toward him in a simple white dress. Not because she had crossed America for another man, but because fate had led her exactly where she belonged. Years passed. The ranch flourished. Fields grew larger. The farmhouse echoed with laughter. Two children raced across the same muddy road where Nathan had first found Emily during the storm. One rainy evening, their daughter asked, Mom, were you ever scared when you came here? Emily smiled. I was terrified. What changed? She looked toward Nathan, who was repairing the old barn with the same quiet determination he always had. A stranger offered me shelter. She squeezed her daughter's hand. And every single day after that, he gave me another reason to stay. Nathan looked over and smiled. Even after all those years, Emily smiled back exactly the same way she had beside the river. Because real love had never begun with perfect promises. It began with compassion in the middle of a storm. And sometimes, the greatest love story isn't the one you planned. It's the one that finds you when every other road has disappeared. Please friends subscribe my channel.